past without the future. Come on. We don't know the past, we don't know the future. Hi, good night, and happy Monday to all my people out there on the internet. And again, I'm streaming on Facebook and on YouTube for you guys. And I do it together so that we can have the same content on both platforms. I'm actually thinking about streaming on Instagram too, but I think that'll be a different story to do a triple stream with free software. So, but it is possible, and so it's something that I will look into. I know that I've been using the OBS to do the multi-stream, but I haven't investigated it yet with the three streaming at the same time, right? But definitely I can use the phone on the side to make that possible. It's raining. The rain started this evening for us about 3:30 somewhere about. We rushed out. We wanted to get some plants in the soil, and you guys know now that I'm venturing into the farming, right? So it's a new venture for 2021. It's long overdue. But I got my nephews here in town, and they wanted something to do, and you know what? I could definitely use the help for all these young, energetic youths, and so we got them out there. I decided I'll do an hour with them. We rushed out, planted some corn, planted some cocoyam, and also kind of hurry up, put some okra in the ground, right? But we'll see how they look when they germinate, and whether they're patterned well and they're spaced appropriately. Because you guys will see that in one of the future video, the whole planting that I did with those guys. So it gives them a chance to um, go through the process, and hopefully we can refine that process the next time we head out to the fields, right? Because I know there's some refinement that needs to be done. I also have to start labeling some of the plants so that they can identify it, and it's actually a good project. And I started to look at redoing my website on the bapplay.com, and I'll create a page special for plants, and especially for some of the plants that I'm doing, so that there's a little bit of background information, because I realized that I have forgotten a lot about some of these plants, and some of the procedures, some of the techniques, and of course it takes a lot of research on the internet as we go along. But it's still teaching for me. I'm still teaching the young ones how to deal with some of these plants. When is the best time for planting? And like I mentioned to somebody the other day, and I might be wrong here if you look at your methods, but I told them that our weather pattern is so unpredictable right now that you can generally plant at any time you want, as long as you work on the drainage and so forth for the type of plant. So the only choice you'll have is whether you're doing raised beds or you're just planting direct. And for us right now, we are still experimenting with direct planting because the soil has not been touched yet. And I told some of the young men today that we could do things like that, the direct planting, because there was no heavy machinery running over that soil. In other parts of the world, or in other parts of our country, what they do is that they scrape all of that topsoil off, and then they're left with that sub layer, which is difficult to work with. And so what they have to do is that they have to dig that up. But we are fortunate enough that we don't have to do that. So we still have that thick layer of topsoil, and we found a lot of worms in the soil, and so that shows just how rich that soil is. And so we have to try to keep it that way and just work it like that. So good experience for the guys. I plan to take them out most evening, but I have to do some labeling. I have to do some documentation, just so that I'm sharing with them, and so that they can take that information and use it and teach somebody else, right? Which is always the aim here for me, to try to encourage you to teach someone else some of the trade that you know. There are people who keep things bottled up inside, and they feel like they should be the only one with certain knowledge, and it makes them feel like they're kings in this world. Well, not for me. I like to share what I know, and I encourage everybody to share what they know. In fact, I encourage everybody to put what they know on the internet, get it out. And I think about some of the old medicinal plants that my grandparents used to point out to us, and some of my aunts and my uncle used to point out to us, and how that has gone, right? That has gone, and so it's kind of left to us now to try to bring that back. And you see, a lot of people still know a lot of the plants that are used for medicinal purposes, but it's getting harder to identify, right? And most of them grow in the wild. So if we could look at some way of documenting that and teaching that to our people here in Punta Gorda or here in the Toledo district, that would be great, right? But my brain might not be for that, but the younger people, their brain is for that, and so we'll see if we can get somebody in who can identify a lot of these plants, and of course see if I can set those in some containers, right? And so I can learn about them also, and that way I can teach the younger people about that. So there's a lot happening. I mean, in our community right now, I know there's this COP26 meeting that is going on, where the government has gone, I think, to Switzerland, right? And the presentations were great, but we're reminded of the impact and the expectations of small developing countries like us. You know, Belize is small. A lot of the Caribbean countries, they're small, but they're still taking part in this now, knowing that they'll need that financial backing from some of the larger countries in the world, just to preserve what we have. And I say that we are fortunate, right, that we have not damaged everything yet, like some other countries who have really just raked out everything from their country. So we're still good yet. We're still at that stage where we can take care of what we have, right, and we can teach our young generation what it means to take care of what we have and why it will benefit them. And so we see a lot of nice programs coming out that will assist with that. But climate change is real, you know. That's for sure, and we can see it in the change of weather pattern that we have right here in Toledo. You know, Toledo is the what they consider the rain district. It rains every day in Toledo, right? But we do have spells, you know, when it goes really dry. And so, like, for this week, we had like 3 or 4 days dry, no rain, no drizzle, nothing, right? And look, tonight, blessing, it rain. I told the boys, I said, we just put seed in the ground. So the rain actually was a good thing, right? Because now we put the seed in the ground and we can forget it, because the earth will take care of itself and it'll take care of the plants that are in that, right? So definitely a plus, right? So big things, right, have happening again in PG. I know Mr. Will bust the bubble last time on his show. We do want to do a little project in town, and I'm still sorting it out. I'm still finding a couple of the guys from town to assist, but I have a plan, and if you guys want to, and I'm mentioning it here, so if you guys want to assist, I definitely will love it. But we want to, because it's time we start taking care of our place, right? So there's all these sidewalks, and I almost fell in one the other day out by the bank, but there are all of these little potholes on the sidewalk that are left without cover. And I like working with concrete. I think everybody know that, right? I did a drainage project where we create molding. I also did some cement post. So there's the fire hot stuff. So I like working with concrete, and I thought that this would be a nice project to get some people involved. And if not, then I'll get a couple guys who I know who I sure will are willing to put in the work, and we'll build a couple of those covers. Now, from what I'm thinking, those covers are not too big. Now it'll take a couple days, a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks, for the cement to cure and everything, right? And so should be ready for Christmas, right? So we'll see if we can build a couple of those and get those placed in, especially during the Christmas time. We have a lot of people walking on those sidewalks, and it pains my heart to see some of the older folks walking and they're not paying attention, or the kids walking and they're not paying attention, and they drop in these large holes and get injured. But we can do something. And we have to start, right? And it'll start, maybe this is a start for it, right? Everybody can just pick something in your community that you see that you can solve, right? pick that one little thing. It doesn't have to be something big that you can solve, right? And I think back to many times and many people who remain silent when it comes to things that they see around them, right? Um, I used to sit in meetings where, there was probably a small problem, and they wanted something solved, but I was so shy to talk or shy to speak out because I thought that my idea was not good and they wouldn't value my idea, and they wouldn't rate me in any way, and that changed for me. That now that I know that I may have an idea that will work, or I have an idea that can bounce off another idea from somebody, then it's worth mentioning, right? So we have to come out of our shell. We really have to jump out of our shell and start to share some of the ideas that we have, or make recommendations. Make recommendations to people that I think this would be a good idea. This is something good to start with. What can we do about that? I think this will work with minimal amount of finance, because we know finance is definitely one of the issues when it comes to developing anything. Whether you're cleaning your yard, say you want to hire the man to chop around your yard, right? You're building a house, you'll need your finance. You're starting a farm, you'll need some finance. So everybody say, all right, finance is definitely something that we need, but there are things that we can do with minimal amount of finance, and it will have great impact, right? But we need to just start pushing those buttons and getting things done, instead of sitting here and waiting and saying, one of these days we'll get the $1 million and we'll do something for a place, right? So that's a project I want to start working on, and I'm just reaching out there. If anybody wants to assist in any way, you can get in touch with me, right? It's something that will definitely push off the ground next week in terms of getting everything made, the molding, and probably we could do a couple mixes and throw them in, and then have those sit for a couple of weeks and cure, because cement must cure, right? And if there's some innovative ideas as to how we can move those covers around, that'll also be welcomed, right? So I just thought that was definitely worth mentioning, right? Apart from that, we continue to just try to encourage you guys to, do your part in everything that you see, and assist us in our little area, right? And make Toledo, make your community a far better community. Good? But the topic here for, well, what I have in for my thing here is it takes small movements to make things possible, which was where I was talking about that we need to start by doing one thing, right, and make it happen. All right. Showing best time for planting is after full moon. Yeah, definitely. People look at the moon for planting. The moon particularly for cutting of trees, right? And the water level goes because of the moon, and so there's a tie-in. But they have to study it. Link me with you on the project, or Moses Cal. All right, so Councillor Cal, definitely I'll get in touch with you, see if we could do something, man. I mean, like I mentioned, we just have to start, and we're here. So definitely I'll get in touch with you, Councillor Cal, right? So we want to ensure that we're moving along, and there's a lot of different things that we can do around our community that can help. I have a bunch of Tito, I still can make cement, yeah. I have a bunch of small palm trees too, but that will be closer to the middle of November, that we can also get planted out. And there's a lot of young plants for when it comes to coconut trees that we can use and spread around the town. That would help, especially in the coastal area, right? And I have a bunch of kids who are ready to go there and get those planted. So we definitely want to see if we can schedule those into, right? But it's nothing difficult. But these are projects that definitely they're coming. I'm seeing it now, right? And me seeing it, it will have to happen, right? Because I don't want to look like I promise it, and it's nothing big. It doesn't require much finance, right? And so we can definitely push those, right? So some of the boys I took out earlier today too, they were asking me about a bunch of plants that I don't know the names, and so I'll be consulting a bunch of people this week to try to find out some of these plant names, and I'll have to find some area that I can put them up and maybe get some feedback from the community as to the names of some of these plants. A lot of people saying that some of these plants are medicinal. I didn't know about vervine until recently, and this thing grew all over the place, right? But I didn't have no idea about some of its benefits. But I hear people talking about soursop leaf, and they're talking about the same plant that gives shade has some benefits, the same gumbo limbo plant and so forth, right? And so we definitely have to look at some of these things and see how we can now use what is there around us to help us, right? And I think that's the key. But we need to start, we need to start, we need to start. Somebody asked, I was telling the boys about an avalanche, and so they asked what was an avalanche, right? And that essentially is, when it snows in some of these areas and that amount of snow is there on that hill, right? All it takes is a small vibration, a small sound to move that, and the impact it creates is heavy, right? So it covers then the entire area. Right? So you're moving a huge amount of snow from a hill that only needed a sound, right? Somebody could have screamed in that cannon and all that snow would come falling down. So what I'm saying is, let's start, right? Let's not be afraid to give our ideas, right? Let's not be afraid to step forward and say, this is what I want to share with you, or this is what I want to assist you with, right? And then we could definitely make things possible. But let's not wait and sit there and hope somebody does it for us. I want you to be a part of the change. I want you to be a part of assisting the community, right? So think about small projects that can be done, and let's do it. I commend the young man who did a beach cleanup, I think 2 weeks ago, and he got a good crowd behind him, and you know what, they did a nice job cleaning up the beach. When I came in from Belmopan last week Friday, and there was a crew cleaning up from by Emery Grove and Jacinto, a whole crew of young ladies, and that was fascinating just to watch them, and all the garbage bag piled up, and they were picking up garbage, and somewhere along the road there was somebody else throwing garbage on the road, and they're like, man, but it starts, and so it means that to assist them, they'll have to put up some signs along the road, that tells people, do not litter, right? I still see people from these buses throwing stuff outside of the bus. It means then that we have to go back and look at the education process and tell the bus drivers or the conductors, put a small bucket in there, put a sign, tell them, and that is only how we get to keep our place clean, right? It's nice when you move around town and you see the town clean. It's nice when you're on the highway and the highway is clean, right? But I love the initiative of the villagers in Emery Grove and in Jacinto, right? Who did that big cleanup. It's something I would like to see done all the way down, even through Elridge and Forest Home. When you drive, there is need for cleanup, but I noticed that the Public Works they're always working in Elridge, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe Elridge is the hub, right? They always say, "Shall get a chop up there," and that other place and chop, but definitely work in those small communities, and the different communities now are taking ownership of where they are. I know in San Antonio and some of those villages, there are also groups. I know in Colombia, there's a small group who does the river cleanup, right? And so these initiatives for young people is what we like to see, right? And I encourage more people to get into that. Check out your area, see what you can do for your area, see how we can improve, right? So we get into 2022 with a brand new place, right? Something looking good, something different, right? And if you have plants and in your yard that you want to give away, call me and I can get them, because I do want to set up a small nursery, and essentially an area for teaching about plants, right? And so if you have those in your yard, and it's something strange and you want to share it with the rest of Punta Gorda, let me know, right? Get in contact with me via Facebook or via YouTube, and tell me, and I'll come over, dig it up. Somebody mentioned to me I like hold out the camera and video. Yes, that is what I do. And so my main channel is on YouTube, and you guys can also follow me there in terms of small projects or things that I'm doing around. Good. So definitely, we'll get in touch. Um, yeah, Councillor Cal, and because I really want to start move things forward. Tito, Tito was the guy who helped me build this house. So the man do that on cement scale. You guys, there's a video on YouTube, with the man blacklaying skills. So go check it out. But tonight, it is short. It's just a message I want to get across, and I wanted to share that project with you, right? And I wanted to share with you some of the stuff that I'm doing. I posted up my episode 2 earlier on the farming thing. We did some burning of the bush, and also a lot of the ideas, of course, came from the guys at Yard Light. So Jalil, big up yourself. These guys are doing their thing. They have premium pork meat now every week. So order up for the guys. They're doing their thing, and that's the kind of initiatives that I love to see. That's the kind of initiative I want to see from all the young people. And I took a walk back in the area where I'm working right now, and I saw people cleaning up and people preparing to. So that's good sign. And again, coming on the highway, I think I saw more veggies shop than anything, which was also a very good sign for Belize. And I like the idea of the government saying we will not import anything when it comes to vegetables if we can grow it. And so that's a plus. That tells you that we have market for most of the products that we're growing. So I love that initiative of saying, yeah, what? We'll stop import carrots right now for Guatemala and Mexico until all our farmer carrots they are sold out, right? And of course, it means then that we have to step up in terms of the quality that we're producing. But I'm sure the quality will be there when farmers realize that their product can sell. And what cannot sell, it means that somebody will have to be innovative enough to create a byproduct that can be stored or something that can be reused in some form or the other and still generate some income, right? And so this is where it takes thinkers now to say you're harvesting 100 pounds of carrots, but you only sold 50 pounds for whatever reason, right? How can you market the rest, or what can you do to create a byproduct of what you have there, right? And put it so that it can be stored for later uses. I could remember when I lived in Belize City, and we would go to Seaview. There were these little packages that came with a mixture of lettuce and broccoli and I think carrots and sweet pepper, but everything was mixed up together and it was frozen. And so all you had to do was buy this small bag for about I think $6, and it had everything mixed up together. And you go and you throw that in the pot and saute that, and you were set, right? And so we might have to look at these type of packaging and see if we can create more shelf life for some of our product. But again, that's for the initiatives that I see coming, and so it means that we have to put better brain together now to prepare for them and to make sure that our farmers get maximum benefit, right? And that our people in this country gets maximum benefit. We see the gas price again going up, and we're above $12 now. And man, that's real. That one is a government problem, right? Why do they allow the prices to go that high, and why are people not speaking out on this? The cost of fuel really determines the cost of items. The price of fish definitely going up, right? And I know it's about $5 or $6 right now, and that will continue to go up. But it's November, it's the whole celebration month, and so we'll be hearing a lot of drummings, we'll be seeing a lot of festivities. I can only urge people to try to remain safe in these times, and fish will get scarce. Get your fish early, right? And the fisherman them, you have to hit the waters. Somebody tell me fish scarce. I don't see how fish was scarce to PG. We right by the coast, and we have a lot of guys going out to fish, right? But again, they're crying about the gas prices, so I do understand they might not want to go that far, right? Or maybe they haven't tried to fish closer, right? But we'll leave it as that, right? But it's November. This year is just running past us, right? But we gotta catch up. We gotta catch up. But that's where I'll stop for tonight, guys. I'm talking here. It's short. It's November 1st, 2021. I hope you guys have a great week, right? I hope I gave you some booster shots for the week, right, to keep you going for this week. And try to find something small to do in your community this week that can make a difference. I'll say good night.